Well, hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. My name is Julie Tara, and I am your host. And today you're going to be very inspired because I have a dear friend of mine with me, Maggie McKee. Many of you know Maggie. She is a diamond in Nikken, and she is a wonderful human being, one of the most intelligent people I know. Maggie, I'm thrilled for you to be here because we are going to talk about the new WE Academy, the Wellness Entrepreneur Academy that you and I have been a part of creating. So let's start with you and what is your background and how did you get involved with Nikken?
Well, my background is education, Julie. When I finished university, I did another year of postgrad studies to become a teacher because I love the whole concept of teaching in the true sense of bringing out what is already inside someone. I'm not never was a traditional teacher, probably never will be. My passion was creating an environment in a classroom where the students felt included and safe and, participatory in the sense that they had a say in what went on, not the curriculum, but in how things went. And that stood me in good stead. I loved teaching. I taught high school. I loved junior high because I was such a brat in junior high that I knew how to handle those who were not exactly focused on teacher, right? So then I moved to post-secondary to get a different flavor of teaching. And I thought it would be a lot different because I was working with quote unquote adults. However, not so much. There are a lot of young students who were quite immature. However, I developed a lot of really neat curriculum. I used experiential education, and I developed a whole series of programs to teach students how to be, more of who they already were. And because I was participating in a program in the college where we were placing students in professions. And we asked the employers, what do you want? And they said, well, we can teach them anything in terms of the how-tos. What we need you to focus on is helping them be real human beings. So I thought, oh, that's great. That's right up my alley. So I developed a ton of curriculum that got recognized by cooperative education all across the country here in Canada. And it was a lot of fun because the classroom was not a traditional classroom. I didn't have rows. This is back in the 80s, and I was using flip charts and magic markers, and the other professors would joke at the students and say, oh, you're off to kindergarten class, are you? And, so we took a lot of arrows in the back because it was a very different way to teach. And I knew the right way because I knew that's what really brought people to their greatness. So that was a lot of fun. And then I was introduced to Nikken because I had been herding for 30 years, and that's not fun. I knew I couldn't be the best, in the classroom. I couldn't be the best in my home with my children and my husband. And my really dear friend, who was a medical professional, was introduced to Nikken and helped her and her husband. So she called me. I was living 500 miles north of where she was. And everything that she said just hit this really interesting sense of yes in my intuition. So I flew down to see her because she told me that these technologies were experiential. That's my word, experiential. So I flew down and got the whole meal deal, and I just absolutely knew that this is what I was called to know about. And because it involved teaching too, the thing I love about Nikken is I get to be the teacher, although I'd rather call it a facilitator, and I get to feel better. So within 3 months, all of that chronic discomfort of 30 years was gone, and I was hooked. And I knew that the reason I needed to be part of this as a business was I could help more people, because I could inspire people to, look at these technologies, which were very new and strange. And for people in North America, we had never studied energy technology here. And so I got to play with things, and I got to enjoy seeing people's eyes pop open. As you know, this happens when they have an experience with Nikken. So I was doing this part-time, teaching full-time, and I was a full-time postgrad student in another province. It was a crazy life at that time. However, because Nikken was such a great environment for me, and because it has a fabulous compensation plan, I was able to quit my teaching job and I walked in. I had a tenured position. I walked in and told the president of the college that I was leaving, and he said, "You're going on holidays?" I said, "No, Terry, I'm leaving." He didn't get it, and that's okay. So I did leave and became a full-time, Nikken consultant. This is back in the 90s now we're talking about. So I've been with Nikken now for 28 years, and it's an absolute joy.
What a fantastic story. And I love how you talk about the experiential teaching and creating that environment. You use that word a few times there. And then in Nikken, we create an environment, right, with our technologies, but we also create an environment with the business side of it. And I think you must have been more of a natural for this than probably any of us, because you had so much experience in drawing people out and finding out their gifts and leveraging those gifts to create a good business. Because all of us know that a great business doesn't happen without everybody participating and joining in, right? It's a lot of people doing a little bit or a lot, and that really creates the power of this network marketing business. So I really love that. And it makes complete sense to me that you were chosen to be part of this inaugural team that decided to create this WE Academy. So tell us about that. What is it, and what has it meant for you?
Well, when this initially started 2 years ago, we were asked to prioritize which of the airplanes we wanted to be on, and this was my first choice because it really resonated with me in terms of, what I could bring to the table and the people that would be, part of that. And when I was in teaching, I loved cooperative teaching, collaborative teaching. I had a few chances to team teach, and that was just amazing for me, absolutely amazing. And I thought we all should be doing this because it's better for the students. Students get different perspectives. We get, a chance to play off each other and so on. So I was really excited about getting on this project and contributing what I had, and also learning from, I knew there would be brilliant people on our plane. And when I saw you on there, I thought, well, bingo. This is a great place to be right now.
Thanks. We did create an amazing team together, didn't we? We learned a lot about each other and how we all work differently and how we have different gifts to leverage. So just first of all, why do you think we need a WE Academy, a Wellness Entrepreneur Academy?
Well, in general business practice, if you're going to have a business that you can share with others and they can have a business, there has to be a system. I mean, just look at all the franchises in the world, and they have very strict systems. I'm not a McDonald's fan, but I do admire their system. I mean, you walk in and you know exactly where the French fry maker is. You go, it's going to get the same thing. And that leads to a type of, stability and credibility for the brand.
Yes.
And so I thought we need that in Nikken, and we've had that in pieces here and there over the last 28 years because we've had powerful leaders who've presented us with great systems to follow. However, there has never been a universal system that is a collaboration between the field consultants and corporate. And this is like a dream come true for me, because I really believe that is the crowning piece to this, that it's an initiative that is including corporate and the consultants in the field.
Very well put. Tell us who is on the team or is on the team.
Okay, well, and this is really cool because I know in education and in pedagogy that everybody has different learning styles, different gifts, and we need to be able to, appreciate and teach to those strengths. And also, when you have a team, you want to have different strengths. So I'm going to talk about you. You bring the creative, joyous energy, and I love what you've done with the hero's journey. I just think that is a brilliant part of what we've put into the academy because of you. And also we have Mary Bowser, who's a professor in, I think it's the state of Virginia, right?
I think so, yeah.
And she's brilliant at systems. I mean, she has all the background knowledge to help us pull all these pieces together and put it in. I mean, that's not my brain. My brain does not work like that. Mine is like, oh, squirrel. So this is fun working with Mary and Barb Richmond, who's another Canadian on the team. She is also very structured and organized and really loves to participate and help and support. So that's been terrific. We have Jeff Isom. I mean, who doesn't love Jeff Isom, right? Our Chancellor of Nikken University, and he's a perfect person to be the pilot on this plane because, you know, his background or his niche in Nikken is training, and he's one of these really fun people to work with. You don't think there's a lot going on sometimes because he's pretty quiet, and then all of a sudden he comes out with something that you went, that was brilliant, Jeff. You know, so
yes.
Great. And we also have one of the Royal Diamonds who stepped aside, was really, really good in content and things he'd already done in the European market. And so we have Luis Kasuga has stepped onto the plane, which is very thrilling, as you know, because he saw what we were doing, and I think he said, I want to be part of this group because they are really doing great work. So he's been a wonderful participant for us as well, because he also can, you know, help us with the structural things that we need from corporate in order to have this program available to all the consultants free of charge. So that's really neat that we have that as well. And I know who am I forgetting? Oh my goodness.
No, I think you have everybody in there. I think that's how it's been. I mean, it has evolved. It has shifted a little bit. It was a lovely balance, I think, of male and female as well. And then we all have these different styles. And in fact, I remember during it, you and I did a test. I can't remember what it was, one of those personality test things, you know, I can't remember what it was called now, but it was really interesting because you and I were so alike. And I thought, oh, it's so interesting because we've always been able to jive very easily with each other, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that's been fun. And I think if everybody had done that same personality inventory, we would have seen all the different styles because they're there. And that is what is so exquisite about this project, that we aren't just one mind. We're this synergy of great minds coming together, creating more than any of us could individually.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, does it take you through a journey? How does it work in terms of the curriculum? Just sort of the basics of it. We're not obviously going to go into every single aspect because there's a lot there, as we know.
Yes, and it basically is a journey. We have a welcome, of course, and an introduction, and all the things that sort of lay the groundwork for people who want to participate. And we have 7 really solid modules, which are basically the 7 steps to success in network marketing. And I think they're pretty applicable to any business, not just network marketing. And so we start with, what do you do? You make a list, you contact people, and then it takes you through, then what do you do? 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 And our focus is on from sign up to silver, basically. So the first leadership level, we're focusing on developing those core skills, those basic, you got to do it over and over again, just like anybody who's a professional athlete or musician. You got to do your layups, you got to do your scales, all of that. So the basics that people can come back to no matter where they are in the business. And then, ourselves as leaders, we can teach our team to teach people. So that's the whole concept of it, is that this is something that people can log into anytime, 24/7, any time zone. They can participate in any of the modules. They can take the quizzes at the end. They can have fun. They can share that then with their teams. And I think it's something that's long overdue and very welcome in the business.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one thing I love with that is that it's generic, but then it of course has the Nikken, not just flavor, but Nikken is imbued through all of it. So it's sort of both. I mean, any network marketer could take it and learn, but it is specific also for Nikken people. And it's not eclipsed by any one personality of any kind, which I think is also important.
I think that's actually quite rare, Julie. In all the things I've worked on and the groups I've been in, this is the most cohesive and non-ego based group. Nobody is trying to, be the boss, which is delightful.
Absolutely. So co-creative. And we started to really pick up on what parts we really felt we would be able to contribute in the best way. And like you said, sometimes that very systematic way is not always how I think. I tend to think in quick spurts. And so like, I really enjoyed discovering like, I could do the narration. That would be a really helpful part, or coordinating all the videos from the different people that we asked to do videos to introduce the modules. That was really fun, and helping them get that done. So it was a joy for me, because I think for every one of us, it's always lovely to do the thing you feel good at and competent with, and then if there's another part that you're just not really inspired by and somebody else is inspired by, well, hallelujah, they'll do it, and you're like, yeah, that's great.
Perfect marriage, for sure.
Perfect marriage. And we had this marriage between all of us, and like you said, the company and the field working together very harmoniously, right? I mean, I don't think, we didn't have an argument. We didn't, we would discuss things. We would discuss our protocols and what we felt, and sometimes we would have mild disagreements, but very, very minimal. I mean, I think
we solved them. If there was a disagreement, we worked it through so that everybody felt included and everybody was happy with the conclusion that we came to as a group.
Yes. And I know, from all my years as a consultant, 28 years, I think we started at the same time. Did we? I started in January of 95. What about you?
February 95.
See, there we are. See, and I was at the end of January. I was like the 27th. So, yeah.
I had to get permission from the college to start this business and let them know it was not a conflict of interest. I mean, all that's one of the reasons I wasn't unhappy to leave. The politics are crazy. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Well, I recall that, some people, what we found out was that some people had fantastic uplines who really, really helped them and really took them through these steps that we take them through. And other people didn't. And it was hard for them because they didn't have that really hands-on guidance, how to do demos and how to make the list, how to talk to people, how to invite people to events and all those things. And what makes me so happy about this is that you may have a stellar upline, like I know you are, but some people may not, and they can learn everything here. And those who have a stellar upline can also still learn, and because there may be a little bit missing here and there or something in what they learn. So I feel really good about that the whole Nikken Global Wellness community can get to learn from this at their own pace as well, because it's self-paced, right?
Yeah, and they will be with people who are different, like you are different from me and Mary and and so on. So they will resonate probably more with some of the presenters and speakers. However, I think we pretty much cover the spectrum. So I think people can feel really comfortable.
Yes. And we wanted to appeal to, people who are very visual, people who are auditory, people who are more kinesthetic. So we really took that into account, didn't we? You and I talked a lot about that at the beginning.
Basic pedagogy, really.
Okay. So it's learning styles, and it's so important to appeal to all, because some people have one very strong, but other ones that are really not strong. Some people are more, even Stevens kind of with all of them. But I liked it that I think you were the one who really brought that up front in the beginning. We're like, we need to make sure it's going to appeal to everybody, and then we have inspirational things for all the promoters and the and more the controller types of competitors, and then and how to win, and then we also have the relationshiping and the caring for which is essential in this business. There's no question about that. But we really cover those different quadrants, the analytics, and they need to have those analytical parts to it. So we make sure that's in there as well. So it's very well rounded, isn't it?
Yes, it's a beautiful piece of work, actually, from a teaching perspective and from a learning perspective. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because I meant to mention at the beginning, is the reason Nikken was so appealing to me. I'd never wanted a business. I mean, I grew up in a farm. Business was 24/7, 365. I didn't want that. And the thing that really stuck out for me with Nikken is that it's a transformational business. I mean, I don't want to just sell something. I don't want to have a transaction. I want the relationship part of it, because that's what makes my life so rich. So Nikken checked all the boxes, the humans being more, the 5 pillars of wellness, all of that was like, oh yeah, this is home.
I love that you bring this in, because it's so true. It's the thing I love about it too, and I've never got tired of it, is that it's constant transformation. Humans being more is at the heart and soul, I think, of Nikken. It really is our philosophy of that, and the 5 pillars of wellness. And I know we start with that, right? You mentioned, we have a welcome from Luis Kasuga, our president and CEO, and then we have Jeff Isom speaking about humans being more and the 5 pillars. And then I go into talking about the hero's journey in life and in Nikken, because it certainly is a hero's journey. And yeah.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah, we're going to have challenges. We're going to have unexpected things happen. We're going to have successes. We're going to have eureka moments. We're going to have moments of, why did he reject me or whatever, we're going to have all of it, right? And
it keeps it from being boring. Like, I've never been someone who likes to have a repetitive life. I'm an adventurer. I like to try new things and travel all over the world and things like that. Yes. And I thought, how will I work in a business where you're supposed to do this and this and this and this? And then when I realized every time we do any of the steps that are essential, it's got its challenges, it's got different people, it's got that whole learning about, wow, what happened there and how could I do that better? And it is all about transformation for both our customers and our teams and ourselves.
Absolutely. It's so true. I remember when sometimes I would get a call and somebody say, well, I want to change. I don't like my sponsor or whatever. I want to change to somebody else's group. And I'd be like, well, it's just like family, like sometimes you're going to not get on with your mom or not get on with your dad, but that's where your growth is. That's where your learning is. And really encourage, because we always encourage people to stay with the magic of how it has shown up for you. And so, yeah, it just makes me think of that for some reason, because we're all so different, but we're all entrepreneurs. I mean, one thing in common is that we love wellness and we love entrepreneurship, which is why we called it WE. The WE Academy is Wellness Entrepreneur, because everybody has that in common. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't be interested in Nikken, right? They wouldn't be excited about it.
So I think it's not only something that's long overdue, it's something that will change it's not going to change Nikken, but it's going to change the experience, especially for new people, because there's a track to run on and there's so much support. And I believe that makes us stronger. And we are at a very interesting point in history in terms of wellness and business and what's going on in the world, and we are a huge part of the solution for that. So now that we have an even more established way of bringing people on board and helping them develop through their years and up through the ranks and so on, if that's what they choose, I don't think there is another company who does it like we do it yet.
Yeah, I've never heard of somebody who does, and or any other company that does. I don't really know that for sure, but yeah, it's a really good point that you make, actually. Now it makes me want to ask you, because I know you are a strong visionary. What do you see right now with the world and our timing? And let's just talk about that.
Okay. Well, I find that sometimes I'm almost 77, right? And sometimes I go, maybe I'm just naive, but I think the world is such a beautiful place. I have great interactions with people on the street every day. People say Vancouver's not a very friendly town. I think it's the friendliest place on earth. I'm always out there talking to people. Many people have dogs, so I'll start a conversation with a dog. Met a guy with his cat on a leash the other day, so we had a great conversation. And I think that the reason I have remained so optimistic in this world, because I'm not blind. I see what's going on. And the reason I don't read the news, I was reading the news the other day, which I don't do very often. I was saying to my friend who was visiting, this is really bleak. She said, yeah, don't read it. So I got myself off that pretty quickly. And it's not to deny that it's not happening. Of course it's happening. And I think that in the midst of all that, the opportunity for us to be the light, the solution, the solution, and the way for people to really get in touch with who they are, what they want, which I think is the essence of being a human, is to find out what is our purpose. How can I do this? And we're not designed to do it alone. So if we have a community like the worldwide wellness community that Nikken has established, and we're with like-minded people, like you say, who are into wellness and entrepreneurship, and we can find a place in there, imagine what will happen. I often have thought, ever since I started Nikken, what would happen if everybody lived in a wellness home? I think it would be pretty hard to have conflict. I think it would be really hard to have any wars, because when we're global, you're not going to fight with somebody that's, you're not going to go against a country that's part of your team, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So on the broader sense of what we have the opportunity to do here, it's magical. And I really believe that we are at an explosive point in terms of people waking up to finding solutions, both for their health and for their finances and for their contribution to society and for their families. That 5 pillars of wellness is universal. It's something we all, in any country, any nationality, any religion, people all seek that wholeness. And we are not well known enough yet to be a revolution, but we're on the verge of revolution, let's put it that way.
Wow, I really concur with you. I think the whole world is on the verge of this. It's beginning to sort of wake up in extraordinary ways, in so many ways. And Nikken is really, right at the sort of crest of a wave of huge revolution. And nobody's looked at health and wellness as much as right now. Like, we couldn't ask for a better audience, if you like. People are ready.
And for business, I mean, look at what the pandemic has done. It's taken people to working from home and liking it. Some of the employers have a hard time attracting people back to the office. And it has also given people, I think, me anyway, I'll speak for myself, an appreciation of how important community and family are. Because when we don't have free access to that, which many people did not have during the pandemic, that's soul destroying to me.
Yes.
I mean, I'm lucky I have a child here who has children, and I have a child in Toronto who has children, and I was not restricted in going to Toronto or being here. And, I really lived a very full life during those 3 years. And I noticed that was not true for so many people.
Yes.
And look at not only the health issues that have come out of this, but the mental health issues that have come out of this. And we have a way to help people be more whole. And it's not for everybody, perhaps. I think it's for everybody, but not everybody sees it. So if we can educate people, back to that whole thing about how do people find out about us, if we can educate people about what we have here and welcome them into this community, oh my gosh, my vision is the whole world is well again. As we, I think that's what we're designed for. We've just lost our way sharply.
Yes, beautifully said. I think, yes, when we have the vision of a world that is thriving, that is happy, that's loving, that's connected, that's so beautiful. And we teach that so much in Nikken. So I think you're right on with this. And I know loneliness and isolation were major factors during the last 3 years. And there were a lot of casualties, shall we say, because of that. I was listening to something from England the other day, and a politician, actually, a parliamentary politician, was saying, how many people were lost to suicide in his borough, in his area, during that. And we don't hear a lot about that. And I'm like you, I don't listen to the news very much at all, because it just doesn't help me with developing my vision. But my vision is very strong. I mean, as you know, it's like I feel like I'm a beacon of light, and you're a beacon of light. And if we put all our beacons of light together, Nikken's a beacon of light we really can be empowered enough to lift others up with us, to thrive and to be happy. Fundamentally, isn't it about being happy?
I know. I think about that, with my children who are both adults. And I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and I said, honestly, all I've ever really wanted for my sons is for them to be happy, successful, whatever they choose to do is great. And if they're not happy, what is the use of money? What is the use of a position? So I am so happy that my sons are happy.
Yes. I think deep down, this is in the heart of every mother and father, is that they want to see their children happy. I have heard that in a lot of places, and it's certainly true for me as well. And doing, you mentioned about the call, and we all have callings to really live out our purpose. Why are we here on this planet at this very powerful time? And I think when we find each other, we're like, oh, birds of a feather. It's a wonderful sense of relief and excitement. Like, oh, birds of a feather. I can work with you, create with you, make things happen with you. That is a marvelous, marvelous feeling. And I think many people don't have communities like that.
That's so true. And one of the things, I have appreciated so much about Nikken is I have had more fun in the last 28 years with Nikken than I ever have had in a job, right? I mean, I've met the most amazing people, had the greatest successes for myself physically, and also helped so many other people. I mean, the satisfaction, the joy of that is hard to describe, but it really is about being on purpose, like you said. And I believe that's what everybody wants, to find a way that they can live a life that contributes and where they feel they are living their own purpose.
Yes. And that is so hugely empowering, isn't it? I mean, when you get on purpose, it's like I feel like I'm like on turbo charge or something, some kind of a whole other level of energy comes through. Of course, the wellness home helps a lot, but still it's more than that. It's like, oh, I'm doing what I'm meant to do, and I'm so joyful that I get to do. And then you're so grateful, right? I'm so grateful I get to do what I'm meant to do. It's just that sense. And then that accomplishment with others is so beautiful. I always remember that with going, Diamond or Royal Diamond, just going, wow, I mean, who do I thank? I mean, it's everybody. It's the last person that bought the last pair of M Strides, or, it's the person who went platinum that helped. It's so many people to thank. You really get this feeling of full connection. Like spiritually, they always say, we're all connected, but we don't always have that experience of being all connected. And I found with Nikken, it was very much an existential experience of like, wow, we really are all connected, and we all made this happen. This was never a I did this thing. It was a we did this thing.
And that, what you just described there, Julie, describes for me what the experience working on the WE Academy has been like. It's a collaborative thing. People come together, we're excited, and I feel turbocharged to bring something to the table because I believe it's such a worthy cause. And so it's a microcosm of what Nikken is to me in the macrocosm.
That's perfect. Well, I think that's a perfect way for us to complete our call here. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'm just really excited for people to take part in this, and everything has to get legs, and so if you're watching this and you haven't gone on to sign up and be part of the Academy, please do it for yourself. Go and have a peek. It may not be what you're looking for, but I strongly believe that if you go through those modules, you will say, wow, this is really, really important, and I need to share this with other people. So that's how it starts. One person dancing by themselves, and somebody goes, oh, that looks interesting. Maybe I'll dance too. So we want to get the whole community dancing together with this, so you can be a part of our success.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Perfectly said, Maggie. Just thank you so much for all that you contributed to the Academy. It was such a pleasure to work with you on it. And I know it's ongoing as we more, iterate and add new things, and that's going to be exciting too. So, and thanks for all your dedication within Nikken over these 28 years, your love for it, you've worked very hard, you've earned a lot of respect from the whole community. We're very blessed to have you with us.
I can say all that back to you too, Julie.
Well, thanks, Maggie. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you got a lot out of this. And we really want to encourage you, go sign up. It's free. Do the Academy. Take it at your own pace. Those 7 modules are very valuable. And then, of course, make sure to share it with all your new consultants who are coming in so that they can also get started on a great track. And have a wonderful week. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We do put this onto the Nikken International YouTube channel as well, so that it can be translated into other languages. And please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get every notification when we upload a new video. And have a fantastic week. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.